So anyway, hi friends, and welcome to another video. And in this video, Jamie and I are going to be talking about our experience being Manson fans in the 90s. And we both sort of lost interest after that, though I understand he's released several more albums, and I bought a few of them and haven't really been that impressed. But it was certainly, a cultural phenomenon in the 90s, and I figured that was worth talking about and sort of taking a trip down memory lane. So we'll be talking about that, and then probably halfway through we'll get to the abuse allegations, which is why he's been trending and in the news since February or so. So, welcome back, friends, to the Creepy and Weird podcast, and we've had a slight hiatus, I suppose.
Yep, I've been dealing with some personal drama, so, death in the family, so needed a little break there. Sorry.
And I've been working on my other channel in the meantime, so I'll pimp that once I get into the editing, but not right now.
Check it out, though. Today, what are we doing today?
Today we're talking about Marilyn Manson, since everybody else is, right? Why not?
Right, might as well.
I got my contacts. Contact.
Yes.
Singular.
Yeah. And we are totally age appropriate, too. So,
see, a lot of the people on there are talking about it are like 18-year-olds, and they weren't even there for the 90s,
Yeah.
The people talking about it on YouTube.
I saw him live a couple times, so, and I didn't have to go to the redux of the Antichrist Superstar tour, or I think it was actually the Dead to the World tour, but, 'cause I was there when he did it in 97. I'm also going to apologize ahead of time. My irises are doing weird things with my green screen. So, at times it looks like they go black. So, yeah, whatever. That's going to be a fun thing, but whatever.
Strange.
Yeah. I'm not wearing contacts, but, if I look at it, yeah, there it is.
Oh, my God.
So weird.
I don't know what the fuck's going on, man.
I know, whatever. It is what it is. Let's do it.
Okay.
Marilyn Manson.
So yeah, I've been watching a lot of videos, and I'm seeing some different kinds of videos. Like I'm seeing the very young kids that are just talking about the later albums that I have no idea about because I've barely listened to them, and they have no idea of the 90s. And then I see a lot of people like I was watching of Herbs and Alders talking about how people in the goth scene were very dismissive of Manson and didn't want to be associated with him, but secretly liked him, So I sort of went on about that
I could see that. I could see him being a proper goth kid's guilty pleasure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I was saying, I see a lot of videos and articles by 90s goths talking about how embarrassed they were to like Marilyn Manson in the 90s. And I think, a lot of us back then were more into metal and things
yes, and I have to say, to me, Marilyn Manson was the perfect storm of pop music and metal.
Mm-hmm.
It pre new metal, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it was kind of cross genre there, and it snared us all because we were the marketing was that good, and
and along with being having been more into Nine Inch Nails at the time.
Yes, that too.
And because they were associated at that time, even though Trent's totally disavowed him now.
Right, and Skinny Puppy too.
Mm-hmm.
And and I think that definitely was a bit of a help, but I missed when Portrait of an American Family came out. And I think you would be in the same. It wasn't until the video for his cover of Sweet Dreams, its commercial success. So
because it started playing on MTV a lot.
Yes, MTV, and then various places you would go, it was radio.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and then it was oh, okay, listen to this album, and then this is a remix of a different album. Yeah, and I still love Lunchbox.
Lunchbox, it's anthemic,
Yeah, I really do. I like Lunchbox. If from then to, I really love their cover of Two Boy Armies Down in the Park. That was on the Lunchbox
On the
single.
single. I remember buying the single. I don't have that anymore. Some of that stuff I sold a long time ago, but yeah, so I was saying, as 90s metal kids and, like, listening to metal and industrial, we didn't, like, have that particular hang up of,
Yeah.
as goth kids, we can't listen to this.
Right. Because, like,
I mean, like, we
speaking
had
for
hang ups.
myself,
Like, I can remember, like, some people and myself, like, in our friends group and stuff, like, having hang ups about, like, we can't listen to this if it's not heavy enough or not, like, weird
right,
enough or something, but,
right. There's
uh,
always that,
yeah.
we've got to be cool with music, kind of thing
Mm-hmm.
when you're kids. When you're kids.
Yeah.
Um, it's,
But
it's,
we
it's,
didn't have the exact hang up
it's,
that, like, Observes and Alders is talking about, like, as goth kids, we cannot listen to this.
right.
We don't want to be
And
associated
I
with the
hate to
spooky
say this,
kids.
I do, and I'm sure some people will laugh and some people might get annoyed, but like, dude, being a metal kid in the 90s too, it did have its weird moments of like edge lording involved with it. It really did.
Yeah.
I've never subscribed to one certain genre of music,
Yeah.
that I'm very eclectic with my taste, except for country. I can't do country.
Mm.
That's it. That's where I draw the line. Somebody said something to me the one day and I was like, I don't know, man, I'm listening to like fucking, the Metropolitan Opera station on Sirius right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not a music Nazi. Never really have been.
Mm-hmm.
But then there are people that are, and I totally get what Herbs and Altars is saying, where, as a certain, with being goth kids, I'm sure you couldn't be like, God damn it, my green screens. Sorry. Nothing's ever easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's the eye thing. Sorry.
Yeah, that is a little freaky.
But I totally see where they're coming from, though. With the certain goth kids, you couldn't listen to, whatever, and yeah, because like.
But yeah, and then there was like a lot of things in the 90s of like teenagers dealing with their parents throwing away their Manson tapes and CDs and so on. But conversely, like my dad, like made me come over to MTV when came over to the TV when Sweet Dreams was on, and was like, look at this is interesting.
But dude, do you remember the time just to fuck with my mom, I took the poster of Marilyn Manson with no shirt on and hung it up in the living room, like right in the wall. My mom's like, what the fuck is that? Like, okay, make it go away now. Like, but yeah, it wasn't, my mom didn't, she was cool in the respect of like not scribing to music leads to whatever behaviors, and shit like that, and movies, that. So I always feel like I was lucky in some respects that she wasn't cramping in the artistic and creative outlets, So,
but yeah, so Sweet Dreams, it was an interesting cover version, and it really got him more into the mainstream.
Yes, it absolutely did. And then Antichrist Superstar happened, and dude, beautiful people. I mean, when they chose the single for that album, they chose very well when they chose that, because that's still a song I hear get played at the bar that I work at.
But I'd also say, that was really still the golden age of music videos.
It was.
I mean, Manson had some really good ones.
Yeah, he did. I will give him that.
Like the art direction and so on was always really good. I mean, along with like Tool or something, which I like Tool's videos more than I like their music.
Yeah. Not.
I mean, I have all their albums, but I'm just saying.
Right.
I'm just saying back then, yeah, those were cool videos.
Yeah. Actually, I don't know if you got my message the other night. I left the TV on MTV Classics.
Oh yeah.
I was just sitting here and I was like, whatever, and it migrated to MTV Classics, and it was like their 80s music block of music videos, and I was just like, holy shit. Like, I was like, MTV and like real videos. I was excited to fucking see Journey's Don't Stop Believin' video. I was like,
but yeah, with Sweet Dreams and things, of course, like Manson's original fans were like thinking that was selling out. Like the rest of us thinking, oh, well, that's interesting, and, the aesthetic was interesting.
That whole album had the makings of, like, we're going to snatch some metal fans. You know, it's kind of like I think of the same way as like the band Ghost.
Hmm.
You know, like, dude, they're great with that. It's basically the same thing, you know. But yeah, like commercial success off of like some well-placed, catchy, poppy sounding metal songs. And you know, next thing you know, your song's being played in a fucking stadium during the fucking Super Bowl.
Yeah.
There were a lot of fucks in that sentence. Sorry about that.
But yeah, and also just, I mean, even though a lot of it seems very childish now, like there's like the whole warped childhood nostalgia things and the Wonka references mixed with like Charles Manson, and I'd read Vincent Bugliosi's book Helter Skelter at that time, I remember.
Yeah.
And so I was very into, I picked up on the references and things, and some
Right.
people didn't. Like I was talking to a friend earlier today, he was talking like, hearing the line "I am the god of fuck," and he's like, "Well, what the fuck is this? This is bullshit." You know?
Right.
And I'm like,
Right.
"Well, no, that's supposed to be a Charles Manson reference."
Yes.
But if you don't get that,
You did Helter Skelter while I read Manson at that same time. I ended up reading Manson in his own words. And that was a great library find
mm-hmm.
during the teen years. And so, yeah, that also offered, you know, more insight to a lot of the like Easter eggs, if you will, in Marilyn Manson's music, you know.
Yeah, I think I have both of those now, copies of my own, but yeah, and also just the reaction to religious hypocrisy was a big part of that, and as well as like a talk show stuff. And people nowadays are not going to even get that talk show stuff because it was totally different in the 90s.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it
Well,
still
80s and 90s.
lives in, you know, archives and video clips on the internet and stuff. But there was definitely a fucking. There I go again. I got the potty mouth tonight.
Not to
Sorry.
mention Satanic Panic and like blaming Judas Priest for suicides and
all,
things.
you know, in that shit, all with the TV shows, you know, the talk shows that were going on at the time. You know, like I remember like sticking VHSs in and setting like programs, like time program recording shit on a or VCR just to record like, you know, daytime talk shows that featured, you know, Marilyn Manson, Gwar, and other shock rock at the time,
Mm-hmm.
which. And I think this was always something that tempered me out too with Marilyn Manson at the time, because everybody wanted to do like, oh, he's shocking and everything. I listened to Gwar.
Yeah.
At that same time. So it was like, you know, Marilyn Manson for me was like, it was more glam.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
You know, because like, while Marilyn Manson can be as shocking as he wants to, you know, like, dude, Gwar still owns you with Have You Seen Me? Like, come on. Song about murdered and exploited children. You don't.
Yeah, but even if you go back to Manson talking about his influences and talking about, you know, like Alice Cooper in particular, I mean, it's
Right.
Not like,
which
it's more cartoonish.
Yes,
in a way.
Agreed. But I still don't think Manson ever had a song that is good as The Ballad of Dwight Fry, in my opinion. Just saying. I love that song.
And the whole Church of Satan stuff, I have that written down here too, but
yeah.
So he got what was it, some kind of honorary title as a reverend in the Church of Satan, and then that was a big thing with the religious folks in the day, and this was like a giant thing with protests, and because people didn't have anything better to protest than music, you know.
Right.
But I guess now Lil Nas X is getting all those people now instead of Manson.
Imagine what it would have been like if COVID would have happened at that point in time too. Like, I mean, the world's insane as it is right now, but like at that point in time, during the height of the satanic panic and everything, God, if we had gone into a lockdown then, I think people would have gone just as fucking crazy.
But yeah, anyway, so figures like Manson, as well as people like Anton LaVey, were attractive to a lot of people that were in our age group in the 90s.
And Anton LaVey too, I think, was a great person for Manson to associate himself with at that point in time, because I mean, you know, Anton LaVey has already had his you know, his track record with getting the masses to follow you, and you know, featured in Rosemary's Baby. I don't know where I was going with this. I'm sorry.
Some sort of he was some sort of OG.
He was a carny.
Yeah.
He was a skilled and gifted carny. He knew
Yeah.
his trade. He knew his trade, you know, and how to get the attention and, stuff that he needed. He, you know.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, coming out of also the whole satanic panic of the 80s, and people were blaming attempted suicides on Judas Priest albums. And I just remember there was a Rob Halford quote saying that something like, perhaps Judas Priest's music were the only thing good in the lives of these kids, and it's definitely not something you're...
Right.
And backmasking.
And then
that
we
was
also
always
had,
great.
on there was also the gangster rap, issues going on too with, gangster rap, inciting violence and whatnot going on in the
Right.
80s, early 90s, and, on through. So, and that's the other thing too, is like, while this was going on with Marilyn Manson, it wasn't just him. It wasn't like,
yeah,
people were specifically just picking on him, because there was him, there were various rap artists and rap groups,
mm-hmm.
and other groups too. So, we'll get to the just blame me at some point.
Yeah, I mean, sure, people were still mad about things like Slayer and...
Right. Yeah. And
thrash metal was still a thing,
But I think, once again, the whole success of Marilyn Manson was just like, when he went with Sweet Dreams, it was just, like worldwide all at once, and that was it. It was
mm-hmm.
like fast. It was fast too. But that cover is still good. I'll still listen to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I mean, so they have the accusations of Judas Priest, like, putting backward mass messages. So Manson, came along and said, well, we're just going to put it forward,
Right.
We're not going to hide anything.
Yeah.
We're just going to say fuck the religious right, and you don't have to look for it. It's right there.
Yeah, and that is the one thing, that I do give him credit for in the it's like he blitzkrieged freaking, the conservative Christians at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And he knew what he was up against, and just totally went gung-ho for it, and he succeeded. He did succeed for a while, with what he did.
I'm sure a lot of musicians were actually scared after the whole PMRC shit,
Oh yeah.
Would be scared that we're gonna get, explicit content, and parents are gonna, and man said, fuck it, we're just gonna say what we want.
Just put a sticker on the outside.
But of course,
whatever.
The stickers, they ended up being on T-shirts, and everybody, it was just a big joke. Like, that's what I'm going to listen to with that sticker.
Being a 90s kid too, it almost became a point of pride if your CD had, or your cassette had the
parental advisory.
Yeah, if it had that sticker on it, it was almost like, ooh,
I remember being in a store with you one time, and I accidentally got the censored Eminem CD, and you told me, like, don't get that one. That's the censored one. Oh shit, I gotta go switch it out. Speaking of,
yeah, like no, and I think for me, that's like the fun of the music. Music's totally different now. Like I haven't gone to a music store in forever. Like, all of my stuff's online. I
mean, we don't have music stores around here anymore.
Well, yeah, we really don't, so it's like my hand was forced.
Like, when did FYE go out,
Oh God, yeah, years ago. So yeah, and it was at that point in time that I went all digital, into the cloud, and I went into the clouds for my music. And yeah.
No, I think I started buying vinyl again and getting everything on CD, but I need physical copies of things, because I'm afraid the cloud stuff will go away, and I need
download
lyric booklets and things.
I download mine and back it up.
Yeah.
Like the MP3s. But other than that, like, most of the stuff I just stream.
Mm-hmm.
With my Amazon Music, I pay for like the Amazon Music Unlimited, and I haven't had a problem finding an album really. And then sometimes if I want to, I just use YouTube. I'm like, whatever.
If you can't find it elsewhere, you YouTube it.
Yep. That was me with Shriekback. I was so annoyed that, you know, I wanted to listen to Shriekback's Nemesis, and they didn't have it on Amazon. So I was like, come on YouTube. And then I sent you that link because, yeah, I don't know. I was feeling my inner goth kid, and I'm like, I will listen to Shriekback.
But yeah, so I did go back and listen to Portrait of an American Family again, and it's like an interesting slice of American culture, I suppose.
Right.
But, you know, it's just all the parts that people hide and aren't proud of, so that was unique. And I did make the comparison in here with somebody like Tupac, even though they're talking about totally different things, but they're still talking about, like, what they see in the world around them.
Dude, yeah, especially, you know, if you're talking Tupac Machiavelli, you know, which is still, you know, Tupac, basically.
That's my favorite album, his.
And, yeah, and, you know, like, yeah, dude, I love Mama. Like, I still think that's a great song. I think that's the title. I think that's the correct title of the song.
I'm bad with remembering titles.
Yeah. Yeah, you know I have, like, zero rap aversion. I like it. Can we stop for a second, though? Like, all right, I'm just going to smoke a cigarette really quick, but I don't want it recorded. Tupac. We left off with Tupac.
Tupac.
Yeah.
And how the Machiavelli album was good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did enjoy that one, and I do listen to that one more than the rest of his stuff. Though I did at some point, at least. I had, like, his book of poetry and things, but this is totally off topic, isn't it?
Yeah. No, not really.
But, I mean, we're still not 90s nostalgia-ing.
Yes, we are, and I just, you know, To Live and Die in L.A. is a great song.
Yes, that one's on there, too.
Yeah. It is a great song. But back to Marilyn Manson.
Oh, yes. Anyway, Portrait. So, and he's also talked about the whole thing as sort of a performance art project, and I know that when we weren't recording, I used a phrase that we're not allowed to use, but...
Right?
Yeah, but as, sort of an artsy thing, you know, and I think it worked as that, but I think he takes himself way too seriously still. But, I mean, it did work, you know, as going into the whole, you know, white trash aesthetic and childhood bullying and all this unsavory stuff.
Yes, I agree.
And also,
you know.
Lunchbox as the bullied kid's ultimate fantasy as...
Oh, yeah.
As I'm going to be a rock star and nobody's going to fuck with me anymore.
Right. Yeah, and I you know...
And it's still the best song on the album, you know.
It is.
Though I like Wrapped in Plastic, but...
I do like Wrapped in Plastic, you know, that subtle Laura Palmer reference there. And yeah, I mean, that's another thing where, you know, to a certain group, you know, a certain class of us kids at that point in time too, you know, we were Lynch obsessed, and it was Twin Peaks, and then
Lost Highway eventually.
Yeah, Lost, which featured him, you know, and Twiggy Ramirez. So, you know, from the Portrait of an American Family, it was almost like there were the pop culture references of, you know, the other side of the fence, like, you know,
like everything was coming together, like especially with Lost Highway. You have like David Bowie, you have Trent Reznor, and those two were already working together with I'm Afraid of Americans, and then you know, having Bowie having been an influence on them, and then, you know, Lynch being, you know, an OG weird filmmaker.
Yeah. I mean,
so like all this stuff coming together.
Yeah, it was a weird pop culture, like you know, other side pop culture. I don't know what to call it. I don't know.
I mean, it was definitely a moment.
Yeah, it was a perfect storm. It was a perfect storm, and it, you know, it succeeded. It was, and then, once again, after that, Antichrist Superstar came out. And that is still one of the albums that I'm the most familiar with. I'm still very familiar with Antichrist Superstar. Like I mentioned, I went and saw that tour when it was, you know, happening. And the set pieces were great. Like the setup was great. Now, having revisited that album being a little older, I'm kind of, you know, I think it's a little silly. You know, I'm like, all right, you know, there are some things like it's, I don't know. I think it's just because I'm old now and I'm not an angsty teen.
That's how I feel about Portrait more than that. But I mean,
yes,
Antichrist still
agree.
has.
I think Portrait is a lot more silly.
Yeah,
you know,
it's a lot goofier, but Antichrist, the big I mean,
What
you
I
could
love
complain it takes itself too seriously, but on the other hand, I liked that about it.
Right. And what I liked about it is it tells a coherent story from beginning to end.
And I'm a sucker for
And
concept albums, so.
yes, and that was
Mm-hmm.
the one of the biggest
Mm-hmm.
concept albums of our generation. Like
Yeah,
at that point.
along with Downward Spiral, which I think holds
Yes.
up better over
Right,
time,
right.
because I did go back and listen to both of them, like, in the past few
Oh,
months.
I still love the Downward Spiral. I didn't have a problem either with the Mechanical Animals album either. I
Mm-hmm.
liked it, but once again, it's the following concept albums, and you and I at that point in time we were already familiar with Bowie, and T-Rex and various bands
Yeah.
and artists that Manson did
Yeah,
draw
and when you
inspiration
look at
from.
through the booklet, you can just go through exactly who did what. Like
Yeah,
Elton John was the one who did with the feathers. Like I tried to steal that in a video too, but
right.
the feathers on the shoulder, like Manson stole that from him, like almost directly. And Lady Gaga had wore that at some point too.
Yes.
But and then there's like very direct Bowie references, like visual things. I mean,
Yeah.
even the red hair
And
and some of the
never
makeup.
mind.
Yeah.
And I
So
do
that's,
believe.
but yeah, that to me was like a lot of, how with Portrait of American Family you went through and picked out the Charles Manson references or the Willy Wonka, and it's just,
Right, right. And yeah, no, I give him credit for his ability to structure a concept album. But yet, what is it? Hollywood couldn't. It didn't do it for me. I
yeah.
was like, yeah, no, I'm done. The charm is gone, and that is where my, like, I've listened to it, like people, once again, I'm a bartender, so it gets played on the jukebox. But my actual interest and everything just, it stopped after Mechanical Animals. So
Yeah, same. That's when I didn't consider myself a Manson fan anymore. I'm like,
yeah.
I was somebody who was into him in the '90s, and that's about
Ye-
it.
And I think also part of it for me too was, like, he's clearly a dude who loves himself and talking about himself. And I think after a while, and me getting older, gaining more experience, like I hit 20 and I'm like, this guy's just a fucking douchebag, like, come on, whatever. We're fucking lost, boy.
I don't know. I've been watching some of his interviews just, well, as I was writing this up. Like I watched one with Larry King, and then there was an Apple Music one, and all this shit. And it just like, I just think back to my art classes in college, and there was this one professor who talked shit on me for liking Salvador Dali because he didn't feel like he evolved enough over time. And then I think about that, which I still like Dali.
Right.
Fuck that professor. But
Right.
But then I think, did Manson grow up and change at all since the '90s?
I
Is
don't
my
think so.
question.
I don't think so. I think it's like Arrested Development.
Yeah.
It's music industry Arrested Development.
And I mean, people complain about, and I complain hugely about Metallica, but at
Ugh.
least they were trying different things, I guess. Even though I hated them. I
They
hated
were
the new
trying
things they were
something.
trying, but at least they were trying stuff.
Uh,
Whereas Manson is just like,
gonna
he gets
gonna
in this
quote
rut, like,
Master Yoda: "Do or do not. There is no try."
yeah, it's like Manson, like, has his shtick, and just kind of stuck with it. And it seemed like
Yeah.
everything after Mechanical
And
Animals was,
it got boring and predictable.
yeah,
It did. It got. I mean, I guess it was great for like younger generations,
yeah. And I guess there's
'cause
still
to them,
people getting into him and stuff. And I was surprised that people were actually paying attention, and some of his songs did all right because I don't pay attention to these things,
right.
like the Tainted Love cover or whatever. But
I remember that because I ended up having to see Not Another Teen Movie, which it was on the soundtrack
okay.
with someone at the theater, and the only reason I even enjoyed it is because of Chris Evans. Thank you, Chris Evans. Yeah, but they played that song in that movie, so.
But yeah, I mean, I was surprised.
And that cover wasn't, and that's what's funny is, as we said earlier, Manson knows how to handle covers. He has a firm handle on how to handle cover songs, be it Sweet Dreams. The Manson covers he used to do, the actual covers of Marilyn Manson or Charles Manson songs
Charles, yeah.
that he did. His Two-Way Army cover, like he knew how to do covers and he did them well, but then it was just like Tainted Love. I was kind of like, it's too easy. You didn't bring anything new to the table, so and the video, you're wearing a horrible, horrible grill.
But like apparently some people who have no idea about any of these things were confusing this with BDSM when it's
no, not
but
at
yeah,
all.
Evie Lupine says, talks about how some of the toys they have, like electric shock thing, like velvet wand or violet wand or something.
Yeah.
And she talks about the way how that's used in consensual BDSM, and this would be a good thing and perfectly fine.
Right.
But if you do it without consent, then that counts as torture, even though it's the same device.
It does.
So apparently this needed explaining.
Right.
To the internet.
People that don't understand what consent means. Hello. Which we're going to get
I mean, how many studies have there been out there where, like, grade school or, like, teenagers are given questionnaires, does this count as consent for sex? And they say yes when it's, like, something other than saying yes.
Right.
Yeah. If a girl leads you on, is that consent for sex?
No.
No.
Not at all. Which is how the hashtag Me Too movement got started. I mean, that is the large focal point of it. Now, like, I can speak personally for myself, I've never really had too many issues in my life with, sexual harassment or assault or whatever, I've been lucky in that respect, but I've also had various men tell me that, I just look like the kind of girl who would hit them. And so I'm like, okay, all right. So that's where I stand on that. But, I do feel very bad. I mean, I've seen it happen. Once again, bartender. It's weird. It's one of those weird.
Well, even if you go back into people being so against kids learning sex ed and things, and that should be part of it, but nobody's willing to talk about it with kids because that would be awkward to talk about sex with kids.
As a parent, I'm kind of a believer. Like, I understand why we have it in school. We have sex ed in school is because there are kids out there whose parents can't bring themselves to have that awkward conversation with their child.
Well, even think about Stephen King's Carrie, how some mothers won't talk to their kids about menstruation, which is a real thing.
Yes, it is, and it's
this also happens. I mean, Stephen King didn't make this stuff up.
I mean, no, he did not. And then that is a weird conversation for some people, especially once religion gets involved. Now, like, I personally, as a parent, I had zero, problems discussing these things with my children, but it was also very much from a, like, medical point of view, and I mean, and a family point of view, these are what happened. And one of my favorite things ever is my boys, I got them the Gardasil vaccine. And there was a big deal with, at that point in time. And I'm like, no, like, I'm getting my boys the Gardasil to, for their future and their health, whatever. And one of the shot booklets that they give you, my older son just got his vaccine and he was reading it, and it's listing, like, the, what the vaccination's for and its side effects and everything. And I just remember my kid from the back seat of the car, really loud, butt cancer. And I'm like, what? And he was like, you can get butt cancer? And yeah, that was his, like, one thing. And I was like, oh, now we have to have this conversation. So, yeah. And yeah, it was just like, okay, well, now that you've been traumatized, let me try to parent. But yeah, and there are things like that, that there are parents out there that can't bring themselves to say, to their child, like, a person that you are supposed to love and protect, and shape their personality and their being, they can't look at them and say, like, yes, look, there are things called sexually transmitted diseases. If you're not safe, if you're not smart, if you're not careful, you will get these, and you can end up with butt cancer. like,
But yeah,
but
also I think Evan Rachel Wood was quoted as saying like, at the time she had no idea if consent was required if you're in a relationship with someone, and that's like,
yes,
I've heard that elsewhere too, that people don't know if rape can happen in a relationship.
yes, yes, it can.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Rachel Evan Woods, yes, and
Yeah, I got some of this out of order because like she gets mentioned like in different parts of the timeline, but okay,
because she's present multiple times,
Yeah.
and that's what yeah.
Okay, so anyway, Evan Rachel Wood, in February of this year, named Manson as her alleged abuser, after she'd already been, like, talking about things in different court situations and so on. But at the time of their relationship, Wood had been 18 years old and Manson was 36. On Instagram, Wood noted that he began grooming her when she was a teenager, namely, before 18.
Right, which there are pictures that, like I mentioned, there are weird things that back up her story.
Okay, they were briefly engaged in the year 2010, and she testified before Congress without naming him in February 2018, and before a California state panel in April 2019, saying she had been diagnosed with CPTSD, which is PTSD from things that are an ongoing abuse situation rather than, a single, like a car accident or something would be regular PTSD.
Right.
So anyway, complex PTSD. And she has symptoms including dissociation, panic attacks, night terrors, agoraphobia, impulse control, and chronic pain. However, allegations of problematic behavior and abuse started many years earlier than that for Manson. At which point we get to Manson's autobiography, Long Hard Road Out of Hell, came out in February of 98. Just find some choice paragraph here. Nearly every day we made new and grotesque discoveries. I wasn't very tall, but if I balanced carefully on my grandfather's wooden chair, I could reach into the space between the mirror and the ceiling. There, I found a stack of black and white bestiality pictures. They weren't from magazines, just individually numbered photographs that looked like they had been hand-picked from a mail-order catalog. They were early 70s photos of women and sucking which looked like soft, fleshy corkscrews. I'd seen Playboy and Penthouse before, but these photographs were in another class altogether. It wasn't just that they were obscene, they were surreal, and the women were beaming real, innocent, flower child smiles as they these animals. And it pretty much goes on like that for, how many pages? About 300 pages of this sort of thing.
Yes.
At which point, you and I were in high school, and I remember borrowing the book. I don't think I had it. I borrowed it.
Yeah, I ended up getting it, and
Okay.
then I think you borrowed it from me.
Then there's just a quote from Chicago reader critic Jim Derogatis, and he characterized the book as describing Manson generally mistreating one or more women per page. That was his quote on it.
That is true. And what was the one story that stuck out with me? The deaf girl.
Mm-hmm.
The story about the deaf girl who doesn't want piss in her eyes. Like, really? Yeah, that was okay.
But yeah, at the time, I think a lot of it was taken with a grain of salt, if not outright celebrated by a lot of people as the height of excessive rock star antics.
I think here's part of the difference. Okay, so at that point in time, like, I'm not necessarily meaning you and I specifically, but other kids that were dumber than us, who in various places were easily impressionable, and that book, they take it literally. Just there's that same problem with porn. All right, where like people see like a rape fantasy porn and they think that's how sex happens, and it's like, no, it doesn't. So I think while many people took it as the grain of salt, older people, even at that point in time, like in their 20s, took it as a grain of salt. There were still younger people that couldn't really make that distinction on an adult level.
Right.
And I think in some levels, as an adult now reflecting back on it, that is kind of what made him potentially dangerous, is stupid kids. Now, I'm not going to blame Marilyn Manson for stupid children. He's not their parent. If you're expecting Marilyn Manson to parent your child, fuck you. But, yeah. So I think that was also part of the problem. And because there's always been a weird, blurred line between fantasy and reality for some people.
Mm-hmm. And again, like I was saying before, it reminded me a lot of Klaus Kinski's autobiography, which was like complete fabrication almost.
Right.
With just weird sex fantasies and things.
And see what sticks.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that was 98, the book. Mm-hmm. So in December 2001, Manson was charged with assault and sexual misconduct owing to an incident involving a security guard in a concert in Michigan. The exact charges were 4th-degree criminal sexual conduct and misdemeanor assault and battery. He had allegedly spit on the man's head, then rubbed his groin, clad only in a G-string, on the man's head. Manson pleaded no contest and was fined, and he eventually settled with the security guard.
Yeah, consent. Dude, don't just put your junk on people's
You don't just
heads.
Rub your junk on people's heads, no.
No, not even if they're a friend. If they're, get consent before teabagging your friends. Don't teabag strangers.
Teabagging requires consent. That's what we've learned here.
Yes, consensual teabagging.
Yeah. Okay, so that was 01. In April 2002, Manson was sued by actress Jennifer Syme's mother after Syme died after Manson allegedly gave her drugs and encouraged her to drive. Manson denied the allegations and said he had made sure Syme got a safe ride home after leaving his house, and they had gone to the movies or something and then done drugs, and then Manson said he gave her a designated driver and he went to bed.
Just let me know when you're...
Okay.
Yeah, because then we can just, So where Dita Von Teese falls into this, because after he had his relationship with Rose McGowan, and then I think there were like maybe a couple other people in there or whatever, but then in 2001, they apparently met each other. Let me see. Marilyn Manson had been a longtime fan of hers and was a member of her website. They first met when he asked her to dance in one of his music videos, and though she was unable to, the two remained in contact. On Manson's 32nd birthday in 2001, she arrived with a bottle of absinthe, and they became a couple. So while he's dealing with, sexual assault allegations for security guard teabagging, he is also like getting hooked up with Dita Von Teese. He proposed to her March 22nd, 2004, and in 2005, November of 2005, they were married, and they were together like I think not that long at all. They weren't married long because on December 29th, 2006, Dita Teese filed for divorce from Marilyn Manson, citing
irreconcilable differences, yes.
Yes, thank you. She left their house empty-handed on Christmas Eve and was not able to get in touch with Manson to inform him of her intention to divorce him. In an interview with the Daily Telegraph, Von Teese stated, "I wasn't supportive of his partying or his relationship with another girl." This was a 2016 quote from Dita Von Teese. "I was with him for 7 years. We were married for only a year, and I felt like getting married was sort of like the kiss of death for us, because it was sort of like the nail in the coffin. I felt kind of obliged to go through with the ceremony in a way because there was so much writing on it. Vogue was photographing it, and it was in this castle, and there was this theater. I'm not going to beat myself up for being in different relationships and not finding a person I'm with until the end of my days." Okay, for whatever sense that made. My wedding was pretty. That's why I did it. Okay. That's all I got out of that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, so an interview with Manson appeared in Spin magazine in June 2009 following his first breakup with Evan Rachel Wood. He stated that he severely self-harmed after the breakup, and also shared his violent fantasies about Wood involving wanting to smash her skull in with a sledgehammer, and stating that the song I Want to Kill You Like They Do in the Movies was about her.
Yeah, and then didn't she get back together with him after that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which I get to that here. Let's see.
No.
Much later, in November 2020, Metal Hammer magazine asked about what he said in the Spin magazine interview, but Manson hung up the phone on the interviewer, and his team called the Spin comments theatrical rock star comments meant to promote a new album, as well as pointing out that Manson and Wood got engaged 6 months after that interview about the smashing her head in thing.
Yeah. Now, once again, we're gonna tie this in. That's part of grooming.
Yep.
You know, it's a habit you can't break, and you become familiar to it. So, you know, she left and then went back, and so
yeah, that's Stockholm syndrome shit. You know.
Yeah.
So then, in July 2009, in a blog post that was soon after deleted, Manson talked about the press fabricating stories and talked about the press as soon to be murdered in their own homes. So he was like making death threats to the press in blog posts at this point.
I think this is where he really starts to go off the rail, because, you know, once again, I just, you know, and we'll get to this. I know we were talking, but he didn't have just sexual assault allegations. He's had domestic violence.
Yeah, all kinds of violent shit.
Yeah, physical assault. Like, he is not, he's unwell. Or as the, what was it he used to write on his chest? Unsafe?
He has a few issues, I think, anyway.
A few.
Okay, so in October 2017, Jordy White, a.k.a. Twiggy Ramirez, the longtime bass player, was accused by Jack-Off Jill singer Jessica Adams of sexual and psychological abuse during the time they had dated in the 90s. Manson released a statement.
They were together for a while, too. I think him and her were together for a few years, too.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly, but that's all I have in here. So, anyway, after Jessica accused Twiggy of this, Manson released a statement saying he'd known nothing about the abuse at the time until Adams brought it up recently. Manson also posted that he'd kicked Ramirez out of the band, or I think he used the words, they parted ways. Mm-hmm. And then Jessica wrote something like, you know, thanks for this, or whatever. Something expressing gratitude for doing so.
Yes, how noble of him. Sorry.
As if he's
Forgive
spotless.
my skepticism or my cynicism.
Yeah. And then Charlyne Yi, an actress on the show House, tweeted in 2018 that Manson visited the set of the show because he was a huge fan. She alleged that he harassed nearly all the women on the show, asked if they were going to scissor each other, and then made a racist comment toward her about being Chinese. And that's all I have about her. But yeah, and then I didn't even get into the anti-Semitic stuff. And there's a lot.
And there's I sent you the thing about Love Bailey, who's a
I didn't get into that, but okay. And this is about a transgender stylist named Love Bailey that talked about her experience with Manson. Speaking on the Daily Beast, the artist shared the alleged incident, which took place in 2011. She arrived at Manson's home for styling an actress for a photo shoot, and when she went into the room to dress the unnamed actress, she saw her disorientated. I had to crawl over stain sheets to get to her, and as I did, he put a big Glock to my forehead, Bailey said. I remember thinking, oh my god, am I going to die? Here I was, this young 20-year-old stylist just trying to get the job done, and I was met with a Glock, she added. I didn't say anything after that because the fashion industry is so small. If you say something, then the photographer will blacklist you and you will lose your career. Evie Lupine gets very much into the anti-Semitic stuff when, like, talking about, like, drawing swastikas on the bedstand and things when they were fighting, and
that also just, to me, seems like...
And Nazi memorabilia, of course.
Like, yeah, but there's some weird thing to me. It just seems like, you know, like, yeah, racist, but also just like juvenile 14-year-old.
Yeah, and apparently he made comments about only wanting to date Jewish women at some point, which I'm not exactly sure,
Right.
like who's Jewish and who's not. But
I also think that, once again, I'm going to stand on this statement I made. I think Marilyn Manson's talked more shit than Henry Lee Lucas.
yeah, I mean at the time, like, I mean, yes, there was Nazi imagery and like Antichrist Superstar, but I figured it was the same way that Roger Waters was using it in The Wall, you know?
Yeah, like, ironically.
Yeah, that, I mean, saying, you know, this is bad, but this is, like, using it as, like, an archetype of bad shit.
Well, and I mean, and the entire album of of Antichrist Superstar is also geared toward, you know, fascism.
Yeah.
Or anti-fascism, you know? So...
yeah, but I thought it was like a theatrical thing, basically.
Yeah.
Whereas he's like embodying. I mean, it. Shut up, Odie. Where Manson is like embodying this idea of the Antichrist Superstar.
Almost like method acting.
Yeah, that.
Yes, like method acting. Yes, I agree with that. Yes.
Yeah. So if he's doing a concept album and he is playing a character in. David Bowie did the same thing with, like, the Thin White Duke era, which was also Nazi-inspired.
Yeah, I totally get where they're just totally method about it.
Mm-hmm. Like the Nazi uniforms and things, yes.
This is something that I will say, just specifically regarding, like, the Antichrist Superstar tour. And how, like, easily a person could succumb to propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the shock and awe factor of it, like, you know, and specifically Nazis, man, they had like Hugo Boss designing the upper echelons suits to make them look good for the presentation.
Exactly.
You know, it's the package of propaganda. And I actually thought that, you know, Marilyn Manson he captured that so well, especially in the stage setup when he did Antichrist Superstar, the song, and you know, he's up on this pulpit wearing a suit, you know, the flags they have like the flags unfurling and everything, and it's like, you know, for a moment in the crowd, you know, you're in a sea of people and you are but this one little tiny small creature, and it's like, oh my god, look at this, and you know, I know though I'm at a concert, this is a rock show, but then, you know, put it into a different context. And I mean, yeah, I can totally see how, you know, those things would influence people's decisions, their allegiances and whatnot.
And the dumb people, again, don't take things the same way. Whereas, like, I mean, I took specific classes in college on the history of the Holocaust, like a history class there, and we had to watch, like, a lot of stuff about World War II and some of the German film classes and things. Right. So, I mean, I knew exactly what it looked like, and I'm like, okay, I get the references, but I'm also seeing it through the lens of it looks very much like Bob Geldof as Pink in The Wall. Where was I?
Yeah, you know, honestly, I'm just going to say right now, you know, the fact that it has taken this long for you know, this entire conversation, you know, of like, I think there's something wrong with Marilyn Manson to take place. I'm actually surprised it didn't happen sooner. You know, even in the early 2000s, once again, there are quite a few allegations and charges that were brought against him for, you know, violent behavior.
Well, another thing that Verbs and Alders brought up that was good, that was a good point that some others didn't bring up, was, again, the idea of, even though he wasn't technically in the goth scene in the way that, you know, some other, you know, a separate thing, but you know, in popular culture, people are gonna lump him directly in the goth scene every time. But anyway, so people are going to take this, you know, as if it's all theatrics and it's not for real, or else that, well, these people in this scene are fucked up anyway, so that's just what they do.
Right. No.
And that's also how it got into these people, you know, like Evie Lupine going on about how this is not BDSM, even though some people are defending it as though this is just
Yeah.
BDSM, but it was not consensual, so it was not.
Right, right.
Like, if you tie somebody up and shock them without consent, that's not BDSM.
No,
You know?
no, it's not. And there have been cases where, like, oh, dude, the what was that? What was that dude's name, man? Was he the toy box? He was the weirdo pervert who would kidnap women for sex slaves, and he had like the electroshock gyno, yeah, and basically like dude would fucking kidnap women and then take them to his trailer sex dungeon and torture them. And it's like, yeah, that's yeah. It's like, yeah, you could say it's BDSM, but no, it's not, because like, those women were kidnapped and tortured. There is a difference between, being held against your will and tortured and consensual BDSM. So.
And then I got some links talking about Evan Rachel Wood, talking about blah, 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 abuse that escalated over time, including threats against my life, severe gaslighting and brainwashing, waking up to the man that claimed to love me, raping what he believed to be my unconscious body. And then something about tying up her hands and feet, tied up and being beaten, and being too afraid to run away. So I think that's okay. And then I have, in August 2018, the LA County DA's office declined to pursue a case against Manson stemming from a police report filed against him for sex crimes dating back as far as 2011 because of an absence of corroboration, because the statute of limitations had expired.
Okay.
And let's see, also in February 2021, Loma Vista Recordings dropped Manson from their label, said they'd stop promoting his current album and would not work with him in the future. Mm-hmm. He was edited out of an episode of American Gods, where he had a recurring role.
Yeah, which I watched that show. Mm-hmm. And then not only that, you've got the Creep Show, but he was also edited out of the newer version of The Stand. He was supposed to play the kid.
Okay, I didn't know. I didn't know about The Stand.
Yes, and they edited him out. So
yeah, I just have on here that Shudder decided not to air a future episode of Creep Show because he was in it.
Yep. And Creep Show just started on Shudder. I just watched the one episode the other day. So because it's April and we're halfway to Halloween. Shudder, if you don't have it, you should check it out. They give free trials all the time. They're freaking awesome. Mm-hmm. Especially if you like horror movies. We are, not paid to do this or anything. I'm just saying, like, the service is awesome. They have great original content. They have Joe Bob Briggs' Last Drive-In. If you have some 90s nostalgia of our age group, check out Joe Bob Briggs now as a grumpy old man. He's great. Sorry, shameless Shudder plug for no reason, because I actually love Shudder. I do. It's out of all the video services I have, it's the one that's my favorite. I always make sure I have Shudder and Disney Plus. Yeah, that's a weird combo there. So, but
yeah, I'll have to edit in some quotes and things. I'm sure I'll find some relevant, relevant.
I'm sure we have a lot of junk there.
Indeed.
We recorded a bunch of junk. All right. I am smoking a cigarette really quick, so edit.
Okay, stop recording. Thanks for watching, and we'll try to get some more videos up shortly. I think we're going to be talking about the Wendigo and maybe some more true crime stuff.